Hello. Good morning and welcome to
Us.
to us to the transmission to the webcast. My name is Sean Thomas. I am theater director here at the Green School. I also teach arts and humanities, and I am with us on our Green School campus, the Green Camp here in Bali, Indonesia. I'm with this morning our head of community environment, Kate Druhan, and also our head of school, Sal. Welcome, Pat Sal. Good to see you, sir.
How are you?
Yeah, it's good to see both of you. Welcome
Good to see
this morning.
you too. I'm happy to be here.
And so I wanted to start off. It's a new school year. It's been quite a journey to get here, and I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the process that you've been in, trying to figure out how you can open a school at this time. I mean, right now we have in New York City the largest. Good morning, you guys. Largest school system in the United States. Teachers are ready to go on strike because their classes are overcrowded. They have limited resources. They have limited space. Parents are concerned. Teachers are concerned. But it has been a different story here, and there's been a lot of creativity involved. There's been a lot of thought process in doing it right and trying to figure out what the best way to do it right is. What has been your experience?
The first thing we know is so important to get back to school
Yeah.
in some way. When we had to close the campus, we lost so much of what a Green School Bali experience is. We did okay. We finished the year, our term 4, really well. We learned from things, we were challenged, there are opportunities to grow and to learn. But, you know, there were times when we thought that we would have distance learning full time again. But we know the importance of school for our community and school for our students, and we've done everything possible to make some of that happen. So it would have been easier, in a way, to just go, look, it's too hard. Distance learning, where there's so much uncertainty, the virus and there's travel restrictions and things like that, but we accepted the challenge to create a model or create a way to go forward to school, come back to a part of what is Green School Bali, which has led us to a blended learning program with a portion of on-site in-person learning, integrated with a distance learning program as well.
Okay, so you said this expression, blended learning, and you kind of explained a little bit about what that entails. Can you paint maybe give me a little bit more of a visual picture of what that looks like, this blended learning program?
Me again. Yeah, happy to. Well, you know, it's not on campus full-time Monday to Friday school,
Okay.
but it's not distance learning at home online school either. It's a blend of the two.
Okay, so that's what
So it is literally a blend of in-person on-site learning, integrated with a structured distance learning online program as well. We know, you know, at Green School it's so important. We're not just a content knowledge-driven school. Learning isn't about setting a textbook chapter to read and answer the questions at the end of it. And learning is about, you know, forming and building relationships with peers and with mentors and with each other, with the environment. Learning's about experiencing, learning by doing. It's about doing real world, authentic learning. It's connecting local to global. These things are integral. They're part of the backbone of Green School. You can't really do that online.
Yeah, I know that for myself, teaching in the high school right now, I have several days where I'm on campus with my students, and then I have a few days where I'm teaching online doing proficiencies. So like my proficiencies, my maths, some of my sciences, some of my literacy, social studies classes they must take I'm teaching those online, but then I also have thematic classes and multidisciplinary classes where I'm teaching in person with the students in our groups.
And that looks different for different learning neighbourhoods or different sort of parts of our school. And you know, in high school we know that the independent learner stage that they're at, they're able to learn more proficiency, their maths and their literacy independently with support. but those things that are integrated, those thematic real-world learning experiences, are better done in person. It looks different in primary and early years and middle school. So, it's blended learning. We can see a real opportunity being, in a way, forced into innovating and creating a new model again. A real opportunity to learn what schools can be or should be, and what learning is, and what learning is important for students, and how we can, as mentors, not just teachers who teach content, but how we, as learning mentors, friends of learning, leaders in a learning community, how we can provide a learning program, create a learning program, and the curriculum and everything that underlies it, that maybe in the future we keep some of that. Maybe in the future we don't go back to 5 full days of school, because we know that learning can happen at home, learning can happen in the rice field, learning can happen in your community, learning can happen with your parents. So it's a real, the blended learning is something we're happy to do at the moment. We miss the campus. We still have a nice place to learn. Green Camp, sister company, is an amazing place. But in the future, it's giving us an opportunity now to trial a model again, a new model of learning that we may keep some parts of.
Yeah, I know around the world right now, the parents are really struggling, students are really struggling. So much of the work that they are receiving in their schools is just a packet of things that they need to fill out themselves. The online support that they might have might be challenging to receive, might be very patchy, their ability to receive it. And we've had a real different experience here at the Green School, which really feels, I can only say from working with the students and seeing them again, right? Seeing them again, it really feels like a real privilege. I feel so grateful. I think they do as well, to be able to have that time, which is face to face, because we know, like you said, that so much of our learning is relationship centered.
Yeah, I think the way the teachers here come at it, which is really with the child, the individual child in mind first, before the program, before the content, before the structure, like thinking from their perspective first and designing around that, around how the child can engage and their well-being through this process, I think makes for a program that is far more, engaging is not the word, but far more student-centered rather than course-centered. How do we package this curriculum and get it to them? It's more about what do these children need at this point, and how do we create a learning program and a learning journey that meets them where they're at, which I think is really nice. But just listening to what you were both saying, I'm sitting here sort of helicoptering up a little bit and just thinking about this whole process from, over the last 6 months or so. And, it's been no easier for Green School, I think, than any other school in terms of trying to navigate this, and we don't have all the answers, but I think this school's history of having a live curriculum, a living curriculum that adapts and evolves, and having the kind of educators here that want to be doing that and want to be part of it, just sort of set us up well, I feel, for being able to do that. And the other point I was reflecting on as you were talking was our parents as well, our parents and our kids. And, we didn't sort of shut the door and say, okay, well, let's figure out what we're going to do and then we'll tell you what we're doing, but rather to continue all through that, right? So we continued to have a dialogue with our parents too, to understand where they were at, what their concerns were, and to help us in that creative process to see what was possible. And our parents have always been like that at Green School too, and that's such a gift in these sort of difficult times to have those relationships.
Well, and again, you talked about your ability to communicate directly with families, with students. In a much larger school system, I can imagine in Sydney, that is a tremendous challenge to be able to feel the community, the entire community of a very large school. But the community here is really tangible. When all of this came about, we found ourselves in March, and then the entire world shifted, or, the ground shifted beneath our feet. What was your experience of seeing your community in action, of seeing family and students and all of that kind of like mobilized to try to respond to the totally unexpected?
Well, I think our community, like everyone around the world, was feeling all the feelings as we went through this, and continue to. And it's emotional because we're talking about children and we're talking about health and we're talking about things that are very emotive. I think for all humans. So I think being prepared to open up the conversation and to have the space and to not feel that we need to have all the answers and then tell everyone what's going on, but rather to do the hard work and then test and have conversation and have dialogue and listen, and also ask our parents to help us through this process too. And boy, do they step up. They do. So I think that the culture of the school really set us up well to be able to work through this as a cohesive unit. And of course, we all have different views in there, and there needs to be leadership in there. But I really think that that's been, such a part of the history of the school, and has just been reinforced really through this process. The values that we hold as a community of learners, everybody, not just the students. Us, you, me, him,
It's affirming, really.
the parents, everybody.
You build a school around a concept that's a community of learners, so it's not a school that's just about kids learning from teachers. It's a school where we all come together and we're all in a journey together. And when that journey gets a bit crazy, like it did in March and April, we built that foundational strength of a culture of a community of learners together, and that helped us get through without a doubt. Because we had people just scatter all over the world, and designing a learning program online for kids that are in 40 different countries is quite a challenge. It's not an easy thing to do.
Especially with that piece of wanting to maintain that contact, the relationship
definitely.
between the learner and the educator, is so key here. And so how do you do that in this spread out kind of different time zoned situation?
I remember me in high school, I was teaching, I would have 3 sessions. I would have 3 sessions to be able to hit different time stones of students around the world. I think for, again, a lot of us, as educators, we stepped back again from this idea of this is content that you should be able to know and recite back to me by rote. And hey, how are you? What is our community now, and how can we create an opportunity for you as students to talk with each other and to talk with us and still feel that sense of community and connection, even though you might be in Norway?
Yeah.
And that was, again, like an affirmation or even a motivational factor that I think got the community, all of us, through that first challenging time, where we looked at the world in a crazy state of flux and went, what is important right now? And it's not knowledge, it's really the ability to think critically about knowledge, for example. It's not it's not rote learning, and that's not what schools are. Schools should be places where people come together, form a community, where people, all of us, not just students, learn skills and values, information about the world so they can connect and things. But in a way, I think that sort of foundational concept of Green School not being a place that's knowledge driven, but it has those 3 factors, those knowledge, the skills and the values, again reaffirmed the whole community, reaffirmed our teachers. It was motivating. Hey, what we're teaching here is important for life, for the world. We're teaching skills and values, and these skills and values are what get us through times of challenge. Being able to remember a maths formula doesn't get you through at times of challenge, but being able to be responsible or demonstrate integrity or understand equity, be empathic. Skills like thinking critically, solve problems. How many problems did we all solve together? And that's what we've been teaching here. And so when you get to a time of struggle or a challenge, and you realise that, hey, what am I using to get through this challenge as a community? What are the parents using? What are the students and teachers? What are we as leaders using? It's not knowledge. It was skills and values, and so it's affirming and motivational for the whole community to go, oh, hang on a minute, Green School's teaching the right sort of thing here. So, yeah, that helped get us through.
And so there was this entire period of trying to discover what was going to be this way forward to school, what was going to be the next steps. I know that you took the best information you could find. You reached out to community members who are working in medicine. You looked at best practices around the world. What now does the program look like? We do have, again, this blended learning program you were talking about, where we have where we have students here at school, and then we also have a distance learning component. What does that look like right now? What kind of protocols have you put in place, have we put in place as a school to try to really discover what are best practices and how can we create a learning program at this moment in human life and history?
It's important to keep our community safe. And COVID it's real here in Bali. It's actually probably getting a little bit worse in Bali. I don't want to be scary. So the blended learning, a significant, a really important factor of the blended learning model is our learning pod structure. Our students in a normal school, when it's normal at grade school, they get around, they mix with other classes, they mix with other learning neighbourhoods, middle school, high school. We come together as a community often, celebrate learning and share learning together. Those sort of things we can't do at the moment because we've designed our learning around learning pods, grade level learning pods basically, where there's 15 to 20 students in a group that stay together for their on-site learning with 3 or 4 teachers in that group.
And so they're not rotating to different
they don't rotate
teachers,
around.
and then they're not mixing with other groups of
They're
students.
not mixing with other groups, and there's social distancing protocols. It's very unusual. We're sitting here now going, oh, we don't have any masks on.
Right,
This
well,
is about the first time I've been at school. Without this thing. But there's mask wearing, we temperature check, we're doing, we're hand washing, there's an entrance procedure, an exit procedure, social distancing even within our learning pod groups. It's very important for us, health and safety of all of our community, not just the students and teachers, but the parents and the extended community is really important to us. So we're doing everything possible to maintain protocols around being safe and staying healthy, but still allowing us to do on-site in-person learning, which we know is important. We've discussed that. So.
And the other element are the 50 or so children that aren't here in Bali that are on our full-time Green School Everywhere program. So that's a full-time distance learning program. And those families and those children are hoping to make their way to Bali. Well, they will make their way to Bali.
Right.
When exactly, we're not sure, as we're just watching and waiting to see what happens with visas and hoping that a special visa permission will be granted to those families that want to come and stay here for a year or more and have their children in the school. But that has become its own thing. So originally it was, okay, well, we have a few children out there that can't get back into Bali, that had left. And so how do we cater for their needs and start up there, and then really that has expanded actually. So we have now, I think it's about 52 children, and so they're a very special community in and of themselves, a community within the community of a global network of families that are out there. So that's been, a beautiful surprise. We didn't think that we would be sort of moving into that space so much, but now that that's happening, and
everywhere in the world, right?
Right.
And so if I have the choice of my child to attend maybe a school which is very close to me, which I'm less interested in, or a curriculum that you said earlier, and I'd love to talk to you about that if there's more time, is living curriculum, I can now make that choice kind of more easily.
Well, and what's really nice about it is for those children, they have the opportunity to connect with the teachers that will be their teachers when they get here, and to start to develop that relationship, which is lovely. I think that's
develop a relationship and an understanding of a green school education as well, because it is different.
Yes.
They wouldn't just be coming here, and a lot of students and families, when they come in, they're like, wow, it takes them a month or two sometimes to get used to the fact that they're not just sitting in a classroom and copying notes from the whiteboard and answering a series of questions, that they're actually thinking about and describing their learning in terms of skills and values development and who they are as a person. It's funny when you're I was a teacher here for a long time, for 5 years, and you do see the students go, really, you're interested in me as a person? You don't just want to just tell me to write something down? I'm like, no, I want to know who you are. This is a learning process journey together that we have together. We're like, whoa, this guy's weird.
Yeah, I remember in the very beginning of our programs this year, we didn't really focus on really any real information. What we were focused on at the very beginning was only reestablishing relationships, and for those students who we had never met before and suddenly are in our online classes, creating a relationship both with them and then having the students interact with each other. So a lot of what we had created were different ways, interactive games, team building, trust building and communication, and kind of laying down, I think, you mentioned it, what is our way of working? How is this different from other experiences you may have had? And introducing them to the community in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's nice. And actually our experience in engaging with the parents is similar, actually. So opening up these virtual spaces, and even those families that are all around the world with children on the Green School Everywhere full-time distance learning program, we get together every second week, I think, and we have an open virtual kind of meeting just to talk to them as a group about how they're going and what their needs are. And you've kicked over the water bottle. I love that.
It's great. Always acknowledge. This is what we say as an actor. We say always acknowledge what happens.
Well, the
Right?
beauty of
It's like that a tree is just falling and none of us are seeing. None of us are looking at it. Right?
No, that was, nice. But this is the wall-less open environment with the mud floor, so it's okay.
Yeah.
You can spill the water.
Still the water.
So if I'm a parent outside, because I'm sure many families are interested to have this information, where are we at right now? Can I come to Bali? Can I come to the Green School? How do I make that happen?
Yeah, right now it's not a case of being able to enrol and pack your bags and head on over. In fact, unfortunately, things are more complex than that. But we're interested in talking to families that are interested in coming or wanting to find out more about the school or about our distance learning program from wherever they are in the world. And so we're playing kind of the short and the long game here in terms of how we can get education to everyone. So for people in Bali, of course, they can come to the blended learning program. For people outside of Bali, we can talk about starting sometime. We take families in January. We always have an enrolment intake beginning of semester 2 in January, and then again in August. So August 21 would be our next New Year intake. But also there's the distance learning program, Green School Everywhere. So point is, we're open for learning. Wherever you are in the world, and very keen to talk to people who are interested in this kind of education.
And there's a lot of interest. There's probably more interest now than ever.
There is, but it's always a two-way. It's a two-way match, right?
Yeah.
This is how we think about enrolment. It's about us getting to know you and you getting to know us as an applicant family, and seeing whether this is the right fit. What are you looking for? What are your aspirations as a learner, especially if they're older, and the parents as well, and for us to authentically talk about what it is that we do here, and what we focus on and what we feel is most important, and what we can promise and what we can't promise to our learners and our families as well. So it's a real two-way conversation and two-way kind of selection process too. Yeah.
Well, and I think that for families, especially that are thinking about moving across the world to invest themselves in their children's education and in a different community and in a different lifestyle, a different way to live, and being able to have that open dialogue back and forth, and to say, hey, you're checking us out, you're interested in our school, we're also very interested in you.
Yes.
And to know that when you arrive here, you don't have some blinders on or a fantasy vision.
Yes.
That you know that this is a real world place with with all of the complications that come with it,
That's right.
with
We're
a
not-
real
we're not
world
perfect.
experience.
We're not
Yeah.
perfect, and we're not right for everyone
Yeah.
either, and that's perfectly good. And it's just having that dialogue and getting to know each other. That's the good bit.
I'm wondering here how much time we have left.
Banyak, man.
Do we
Yeah,
are we
15 minutes.
5-hour webcast? It's should I make some coffee here?
Yeah, I'll do a coffee now.
So I guess, Sal, what is it right now you think that we haven't covered, and what do you think What do you think students should know? What do you think parents should know who might have questions or are curious about what's happening now?
I might just go back to what Kate was saying about that match. You know, this is our school. Who are you? And creating that match, because I know a lot of people in other countries with kids going to other schools, and they're all sitting there going, "Is this thing that my kids are going to, is it really any good?" You know, like I think like the whole world sort of, all the parents in the world last term got this crash course in what school really was and what the kids were really learning, because they brought it home.
Yeah,
I know that
they're
there's
only
a lot
home.
of people around the world going, you know, it's this thing that my kids go to Monday to Friday, you know, 9 to 3, 8 to 3, is it really what I want my kids to do?
Yeah.
And I don't think we've created the perfect new model of learning. And in fact, that's not our goal. You know, we talk about this living curriculum that evolves, and it probably can never be perfect. Because I think it's important when you talk about that match and you talk about the this is us and who are you, do you want to be a part of Green School? It's important to realise that the world is a constantly ever changing place, and more so in the last 6 months, more so, and we've seen that. And so does our school. So is our school. It's constantly changing. That's a challenge in itself for us and for teachers, for everyone to create that learning model that is constantly challenging and changing. But it's exciting as well, because it's reflective of the needs of now and the future.
Yeah.
And it's not just saying, look, here's a curriculum, I'm going to put it in a whole heap of folders, and that's what we do every year. But it's changing and it's evolving, and that's difficult for some people and new parents particularly, I suppose, to grasp, because you don't hold a curriculum here. You work with the curriculum and you mould it and you change it for what's happening now. And I know that there'll be classes, probably in middle school and high school more particular, that are looking at things that are happening right now in the world and teaching for that. They're not looking at history that happened 100 years ago, 200 years, looking at now and teaching for now. And that's sometimes a difficult thing for parents, because they want something different. Like I said, they're all sitting at home going, I'm not sure about this public school my kids are going to, now I know exactly what they're doing, and maybe they're still online. I'm looking for another model. And then they go, well, what other models are there? Oh, Green School, here's another model of learning. But in a way, it's undefinable. We do define it in pedagogical belief around the real learning. We define it in terms of knowledge and skills and values-based learning, but those are always changing. So when you come to Green School, you're coming to a place that's always evolving. It's never perfect. But that's good, because that's what the real world is.
Well, yeah, that was going to be my other question, was what is perfect? Point to what is perfect.
I think the other piece in there is just that, the child's own sort of well-being during this time. I think for us and I'm not an educator, so
I always say that, but you know more. So much.
No, I know, but
yeah.
not. I need to remind you guys, when you're talking to us general people, we don't always understand all the language actually, so I can help with the translation.
No, I'm translating.
But no, I'm sure you've been very clear. But the child's well-being through this time, and I think we're all parents too, and so we're acutely aware of that, and how they're getting through all of this change and having to adapt and find joy in that, and find fun in that, and find connection in that. And that's one of the things as a parent I just so value about what Green School does. I mean, you're hilarious, you're hilarious too, but there is always that sense of fun and not blind optimism, because we talk about and learn about real world issues here, and it's not all rosy, but there is always that optimism, there is always joy, there's always moments of humour in there, and I just think that's not something we talk about as part of our curriculum, but it's so there. I think it's by nature of the people, the educators that come here and want to be here and have that kind of passion, and it comes through. But I think that's such a valuable piece. And
it's
fun.
Important.
Fun is
very
important.
But this life passes swiftly.
Yeah.
This life passes very, very swiftly.
Yes.
There's an old Langston Hughes poem. Folks, I've heard that birthing is hard and dying is mean, so get yourself a little loving in between.
And
A little bit of fun.
And just it so encapsulates it, it so encapsulates the human experience in just a few lines, which is that economy of movement in high art. And one thing that I really notice is that the quality of my life as a teacher, and I think also as a parent, is noticeably different since I have lived and worked here in Bali and built my family here. Whereas I felt so many outside pressures and stresses to conform and to do this, and is this the right move, and is this the right move? My focus has changed a great deal, and I think when you were talking about parents looking for the first time at, not for the first time, but a very concentrated and in-depth investigation into what their kids are learning. When every day you have to deal with it, trying to work from your computer.
And it probably wasn't fun.
No, I would say that there was not too much fun
Do
that
we
was
really want
had.
our kids to, like, from 5, or even here they come at age 3, do we really want them to come to a place for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and not have any fun? Just so that they can learn some stuff and pass a test,
I think kids are pretty good at finding
Oh,
fun, actually.
it's
But
fun
when
with
you
fun.
actually, when you're intentional about that and encourage it, I think that's when you level up on the fun. But it's like being okay with that should be part of their day. It shouldn't happen accidentally because the kids discover fun things
fun
and
on
have a
their own.
laugh.
Yeah, they're laughing at the teacher. Lots of fun.
So I think we've got some questions,
Okay.
Sean, about admissions and enrolments.
So let's
We're really test facilitators here.
let's go ahead and teamwork. Right? Teamwork. Let's go ahead and so we are accepting applications. That's one question.
Yes.
We are accepting applications from Paolo is asking us. Christina wants to know, how are local people and groups leading and innovating within the curriculum? She says, are local people part of the senior leadership team?
Yes.
And how is recruitment managed?
Yeah.
So are Balinese and Indonesians part of the senior team? Are they active in helping to design and evolve the curriculum? What does that look like?
Well, if I can just jump back to that admissions question first.
Oh, yes,
So,
right.
yes, we're always open for applications, and that information's on the website.
Okay.
But the most important piece is to connect with us and have a conversation, as I said. And so, I think that's the sort of the application process is not just like everything at Green School. It's not just filling out some forms. There's dialogue in there. We want to get to know families. We want to share with them what we're doing and what the options are for enrolment. But that information is on the website, so we can go there.
Okay, so if I'm interested in starting an application, I can look at the website. I can begin that process. I can also reach out to the school and begin a dialogue.
All through the admissions portal.
Through
so
the
you
admissions
can make
portal.
an inquiry there.
Okay.
Yes, you don't have to go straight to starting an application.
Okay, and
in
then,
fact, we suggest people don't. Let's get to know each other. Yes.
Okay.
First.
And so then I want to go to Christina's question. How are Balinese and Indonesians involved in the process of our creation of curriculum? What does that look like? Do we have Indonesians and Balinese who are in the management of the school as well?
Well, head of school, head of that. Our boss is Indonesian, Balinese, as you know, and then coming down the sort of layers, we do have other heads of different parts of the school that are local, that are Indonesian, and then inside the learning program, we've promoted last year and working at developing the leadership of our different LN Indonesian heads as well.
That's learning neighbourhoods, of which
so each primary school, middle school, early years, high school, they have an Indonesian head in there as well.
And that would be called, like in another school, like a principal, or
yeah, it's sort of like an Indonesian principal. It is Kepala Sekolah.
Okay,
for
Kepala
that
Sekolah.
for that each learning neighbourhood. And then I think, as part of Before I talked about the opportunities inside the challenges and what we're learning, we didn't actually talk. There was something about the learning pods which links directly to this concept. So our kids are in their learning pods together. They don't mix with other learning pods with the same teachers. Now, each one of those learning pods has an awesome Indonesian/Balinese teacher in there. So something that we're learning and experiencing now is not just the ability of us to create these connections, and I bet you know your kids better now in your learning pod than you ever did in our old model of learning as a teacher.
Most definitely,
And
I do.
I bet you
with
form
him
a
all
strong
day.
relationship with your Indonesian co-teacher as well.
Yeah.
And I bet you're sitting around as a group that's not just expat driven, but it's Indonesian and expat international teachers sitting around designing curriculum. What are we doing today? What's the program? What is the thematic? And so, in a way, this learning pod concept has got limitations in terms of the community and how we interact together, but within a smaller learning group and within a smaller teaching group with strong Indonesian teachers. We've got amazing Indonesian teachers, Balinese and Indonesian teachers. That's giving us a new strength in a way with this collaborative team approach to teaching, and that has every pod has got an Indonesian teacher in there. That's not an assistant. They're not doing something different. They're teaching just with our international teachers.
Well, I know that right now I'm teaching a class on kinetic sculpture, kinetic energy, but also Rahayu, my partner, she's covering the entire side of the physics and the formulas for determining kinetic energy, acceleration, velocity.
Yeah, awesome.
Pa'ira then is the other teacher that I'm working with, and he's teaching a lot of the fundamental skills of how to work with the knife and bamboo to create kites.
Yeah.
And then we're actually studying the kites that we're creating and then flying them in the sky. But learning some of those hands-on skills as well with the knife, the string, the bamboo.
Fabulous. And
So,
just a
yeah,
little,
just to see
little
it
bit
there.
more colour to that answer to the question, which is on the non-teaching and learning side, outside of the learning neighbourhoods, our head of development and head of our local scholar program, we have about 30% of the children here are Balinese children on full scholarship. And then also the heads of our innovation hub, our digital fabrication and green makerspace centre are Indonesian as well. So you see it right
Media
across
team.
the
Hello.
school. The media team behind the scenes here. Also, thank you guys. Okay, what's next for us?
Anna says, "Hi, lovelies."
So I think I might know Anna Reed.
I know Anna Reeves.
Hello,
Hi, Anna
hello,
Reeves.
Anna. Hi, lovelies. Just wondering if the future plan is to finish school at GS, you would accept distance learning students for a couple of years prior.
Yeah, I think Anna's question there is, could someone start on the Green School Everywhere distance learning program and then at some point come physically to Bali to finish their schooling? And the answer in theory is yes, absolutely. You know, we actually really quite like that idea. But again, it's the process of making sure this is a great fit for everyone.
Hi in Byron Bay.
Hi from Byron Bay.
Yeah, hi from Byron Bay.
Oh, I heard
Hi to
you
all
have
my
plans
friends
for
in
Byron Bay.
Federal, yeah, lovely place up in the hills. Yeah, I don't know about the plans for Byron Bay.
Okay. Does your distance, Paulo writes, does your distance learning program offer any outdoor activities? I'm a little concerned about the screen time children have to spend right now.
Yeah, definitely. We actually consciously didn't call it an online learning. We chose distance learning and we chose Green School Everywhere as the label of what our distance learning program is, because we believe that learning can happen everywhere. There's a significant component of the distance learning program, dependent on the age of the student, that is off the computer, that's experiential, that's project-based learning. Our Jalan program, which is experiential, hands-on learning, where students do a lot of project-based learning, and it's facilitated through our iHub. We've created an awesome menu of projects for students of all ages to do. Allow students to grab a resource or get an idea, be facilitated, mentored through sort of a project stage, but get off the computer and go do it.
I'll give you an example. So this is part of the blended program, but in my youngest, who's in grade 9, part of his distance learning piece of the week, so he's 3 days on campus and 2 days at home, and as part of his home learning, he and his friends are designing and building skimboards for the beach, and a whole lot of prototyping and testing, which is a fun bit. Go down to the beach, testing out and refining and perfecting their designs, and going back into the workshop and creating different shapes and models and whatever. So it's great. There's physics in there. There's hands-on practical skills. There's physical activity, getting out into nature, and fun.
Okay. Another question from Jessica is, do students learn to code or use electronics to aid their learning, or perhaps outdoor learning trumps technology?
It's a bit of both. I don't think one thing trumps another. I don't think we sit in a bubble and go, let's just play in the garden. But when we're on campus, the iHub, our innovation hub's an amazing place of learning, an amazing learning space where students learn to code, they do robotics, they laser cut, they create 3D printing models and things like that. In the biolab, they can be doing that. I think we're trying to find that nice mix between, how do we say it, keeping our feet in the mud, connected to nature, but knowing that the world is changing and that the technology is changing, and trying to keep abreast of that change as well.
And to teach kind of that information literacy, technology, literacy,
Exactly.
so that students understand what is coming, although that's
all our
not
high
there.
school students create a website, their own Google site. There's an e-portfolio as another example of not just being a place that's people running around in the jungle, but there's a place that's connected to the real world again.
We have here. Go ahead.
Another question about distance learning and
Yeah.
the process to sort of transition in to the school. I mean, applications, people can apply just for the distance learning program. They can apply for that until they get to Bali, or they can apply to come to Bali at a time when they think, they will actually be able to get here, which might be, January or August next year even. So all those kind of options are on the table. In terms of the transition into the school, if a child starts with Green School everywhere from wherever they are in the world, they are making those connections. They're part of the community, as are their parents.
It's not a new application. Then.
It's not a new application then. So then when they're ready, when they can come to Bali, we'll be here with the gates open, ready for them.
And they already know people somewhere. They already know some of the other students in their class,
Yes.
possibly, and the teachers that
Yeah.
they've just worked with or will work with again.
Yeah, that's the idea.
And then Joanne writes, my question is about future employment opportunities at the Green School and the Green Educator course. What might that look like in the current climate?
Yeah, great. I think in terms of staffing, we're probably pretty good. We're staffed up for some growth here. That's my sort of sense at the moment, but we wait and see how things unfold in the world. But any jobs we have open, we put on our website. So that's a place to keep an eye out there for that. And the Green Educator course, actually I'm glad, thank you Paula for asking that question. We are going to be launching a Green Educator program, which will be online but also live interactive elements and more case study kind of examples of teaching in practice here from Green School Bali. And we'll be publishing more information about that on all our social media platforms when it's ready. We're not quite there on that one yet.
If Paula was just writing, if parents are in Indonesia already, is it possible for them to visit the campus?
Yes.
Are they having any open days for prospective families or parents?
You can do a tour, can't you?
Can do a tour or just contact our admissions team and we'll meet you, take you for a walk around.
Okay. So if I'm interested, I'm in Jakarta or I'm in Surabaya, I could come over and meet with you and take a look at the school and decide if it was a good jump for my family.
It's
Yeah.
a little bit empty at the moment. But that's kind of really nice sometimes. But yeah, come and have a look, please.
What do you think, we have a question from Jessica, what do you think about learning disability and special education? I think it's a really pertinent question.
That's great.
Yeah, we believe inclusive education.
What does that look like,
Well, we don't-
inclusive education?
We learn together, and
So you don't have a separate...
We don't. Well, we have separate learning support programs
Uh-huh.
and learning support teachers, but we don't really pull students out of the class and say you learn differently, so we're going to teach you or give you a different school experience. We believe that students are all unique and all special, and that we can provide a learning opportunity in a peer group that's that meets the needs of all types of learners.
So the workload might be differentiated.
It
It might be adapted
I was actually
to
talking
the
to Kate
needs.
about it a little bit about this yesterday. When you're talking from an educator's perspective on that, I used to be able to just give 20 kids an opener, an idea, and say, let's talk about this. And often it's not the actual learning activity or the formal learning that inputted into the class or the lesson that's differentiated. It's an expectation or the output of
from the student.
It was more important for me to define or help a student define ways that they demonstrate their learning to me. We know that everyone learns differently, and so then I want to be able, as a teacher, I wanted to be able to provide that opportunity for my students to demonstrate their learning differently. And that's different at Green School because often it's just do the test.
Right.
Do the multiple choice test or answer the questions. Everyone's going to learn the same thing and they're going to demonstrate their learning differently. And when we talk about students with different learning abilities, well, I don't even like to say learning sort of disabilities. Just learning different learning abilities. And we talk about inclusive education, then we talk about providing the opportunity for all learners to demonstrate their learning in their way.
Right.
Because we know that we know they're learning.
Which the relationships that the students are building with teachers probably lends itself to being able to understand a student and their given needs, how that might be different from another student, and then how to let them create projects or design things that can show their learning.
Totally.
Yeah.
And again, that's to come back to the getting to know families. Families that apply whose student has a need for some additional supports or has a different way of learning, like that. Having that conversation and really getting to know each other through there also is so important. So we can, because we know what we're good at supporting and also things that we're not so good at supporting. So that also is part of that whole getting to know each other
Be able
process.
to have that dialogue before.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I think we are out of time right now. I do want to thank you. I want to thank you for the time and for the conversation. Great to just hear you articulate your ideas. Thank you as well for tuning in and joining us. I believe we're going to have another session today for other
totally
time
different.
zones.
Let's do it totally different.
Probably a bit better.
I'm actually going to change my clothes.
At a practice run.
Or maybe we could swap.
Have a great day wherever you are. We look forward to talking with you and seeing you soon. Thank you so
care.
much.
Right.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.